Hey guys, Josh here from Sportitude Running, and today we have got a new shoe to introduce to you at home, and it is the Mizuno Wave Rider Neo. This shoe here has just landed in Australia the front half of 2021. And essentially, this little guy has been built on a couple of decades of learnings from the Mizuno department with regards to the Wave Rider franchise. And the objective with this shoe here is to create a slightly lighter and more propulsive feel underneath the foot, and they certainly have managed to nail the brief. Now, in doing so, what they have done is obviously make some adjustments in the whole shoe. Now, that's across outsole, midsole, and upper, and in today's review, we're going to dive into all of those changes, compare it to the Wave Rider 24, and also profile the foot type that could be considering this shoe right through here. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. What we have through here, guys, just to dial in on the functionality of this shoe, it is a high mileage running shoe and it is built on a neutral platform. So nothing has changed with regards to the Wave Rider Neo from the 24 in reference to the foot type that could be considering this shoe. So in previous videos, and what I'll do today is no different. A neutral foot will look something like this. So a static position where you've got a little bit of real estate between the arch and the ground, and the runner that comes through their gait transition lands on their heel or midfoot first, but as they come through to that toe-off phase, we don't tend to see too much tilt towards the medial side. The pressure is either through the central part of the foot, or if we happen to see a little bit of what we classify as under pronation, that is okay. This shoe here will certainly cater for that foot type quite well. Now, from time to time when we're fitting people in store, we do see a static position like this come through that still runs in a neutral running shoe. So you can see the difference between the two: high arch, bit of real estate between the arch and the ground, and a slightly more collapsed arch on that medial side. However, when this runner comes through, there's not a lot of drastic drop off in that medial side and minimal shin rotation through here. So that runner should or could be considering a neutral running shoe as well. So obviously when it comes to that really acute variances with foot type, certainly best off getting his foot checked out from a professional store, or hit us up here at Sportitude Running and we'll take care of you. Let's get into this shoe review because there's a lot to like about this shoe. Now, as I touched on in my intro, Mizuno have gone back to the drawing board and changed the outsole, the midsole, and the upper of this shoe in comparison to the Wave Rider 24. Now, in some aspects, when I look at two shoes like this and they're sort of sitting on the wall, I ask the question, why? Why would you have two shoes that are pretty darn similar to each other? And the reason they've done this is because they're actually targeting a different runner. So your Mizuno Wave Rider runner is someone that wants a slightly lighter, high mileage shoe with good, decent cushioning underneath the forefoot, and overall fit and function in this shoe is going to give them confidence mile after mile after mile. They may not like the weight of like a Wave Sky in the Mizuno range, and they want something that feels a little bit easier on the foot, but still is going to offer ample protection underneath their body. Essentially, they have achieved the same thing with the Neo. However, what Mizuno have done is, as I said, they've tinkered every part of the engineering of this shoe, so the outsole, the midsole, and the upper. So what you can see through the forefoot through here in comparison to the Wave Rider 24 is that's your traditional blown rubber material. So it is slightly lighter and softer. Durable enough for a mileage shoe, yeah, but what we've got going on through here with the Wave Rider Neo is a crystallized rubber concept. So the idea here is all to do with what's happening in the midsole, which we'll get to in two ticks. But this essentially outsole protection configuration is pretty darn durable, but it's also going to offer a lot more grip. So if you're thinking about this runner that's going to be looking at the Wave Rider Neo, they're potentially going to be the person that's going to be picking up the pace a little bit more, all right? So if they're picking up the pace a little bit more, you want a bit more confidence on your foot placement with the ground, so having a little bit more grip on that bitumen pavement sort of surface is going to provide the runner more confidence on connection with the ground. Now, as you're coming through to the outsole at the back lateral part of the heel through here, there is a little sort of carbon rubber piece through there just to give a little bit of protection for that runner that does come down heel first inside this shoe. So there is an element of carbon rubber, which is your traditional rubber. However, you can see that it's considerably less underneath the foot. So therefore, less rubber, we reduce the weight on the outsole. Now let's get talking about the midsole now, because the concept of this outsole has a lot to do with the midsole. So Mizuno a couple of seasons ago engineered and introduced their Mizuno Wave Energy foam. So that's their lightest, softest foam yet. And when we're looking at this shoe here, the Wave Rider series, that foam is between the wave plate and the ground through here, both medial and lateral side, and it's only strategically placed up until this midfoot section. So it's gradually put into the back of the shoe through there. So nice and soft feel underneath the foot and that first entry point with the ground. And then the top layer, which sits on top of the wave plate and runs right through the forefoot, is their patented euphoric cushioning system as well, which is pretty darn light, but has an element of density to it, which is going to give a bit more response. So the idea here being this will last a fraction longer with regards to the midsole setup through there. Now, getting back to the Neo, this shoe here, the full length midsole is Wave Energy foam. So what we've got here is a really soft feel underneath the foot in comparison to the Wave Rider 24. That's still got great cushioning, but this is going to be super soft underneath the foot. So underneath the wave plate, on top of the wave plate, that whole midsole density is Mizuno Wave Energy foam, which is very soft, as I touched on before. Now, for thinking about that for a second, we've got a softer foam underneath the foot. So when you put force through your foot, when you land on your foot, it's going to compress a little bit more. So we need to protect the asset by having a slightly more, I'd say, durable but harder wearing outsole, hence that crystallized rubber setup underneath the foot through there. So it's going to give a little bit more protection for that Wave Energy midsole, which is fantastic. So you've got to think about every component of the shoe and what it's going to do for the performance of this shoe through here. So the Wave Energy foam with that wave plate, which sits in the exact same position as the Wave Rider 24. They haven't tinkered with the positioning of that wave plate, both medial and lateral side. And also it's important to note, it's essentially the same height off of the ground. And while we're talking heights off of the ground, let's touch on the heel to toe drop in this shoe. We've still got a 12mm heel to toe drop in the Wave Neo, and that's no different obviously than the 24 through here. So this little guy's coming in, as statistics have us, at 31 heel to a 19 forefoot, and then we got a 30 heel to an 18 forefoot. So 1mm variance, both Neo and the 24, so marginal, to be completely fair. So you're not going to really notice any change in regards to the foot positioning underneath. So in regards to the heel to toe stack, it's going to have a pretty darn similar feel in that static position. However, when you start running in the Neo, you're certainly going to notice that softer, smoother ride underneath the foot through there. And the other, probably more noticeable change in this shoe is the upper. So let's get talking about the upper here, because what I have liked with Mizuno shoes in years gone by is the simplicity of their heel counter setup. So if you're looking at the Wave Rider 24, I've always liked how Mizuno's executed that internal heel counter. They generally nail that lining on the inside too, so they really get that right. They never overcomplicate the amount of foam they've got in the back of the heel counter through here. And their uppers have been always really nice, durable, and very light and breathable. They had probably one missed about a decade ago, but we won't go there. So we'll leave that shoe out of this review. But generally speaking, out of 24 releases of this shoe, 23 have been cherry ripe. So I've liked what they've done with the Wave Rider with upper executions. Now, coming into this shoe here, the first thing that I noticed, and I'll grab the men's one here, with this shoe. Now, I was lucky enough to run in a first prototype of this shoe almost a year ago now. It's going back 10 months. So when I got this shoe, the first thing I noticed was the reduction in weight, but also the midsole performance of the upper. I love what they have done with this upper. Now, we see this sort of bit of a trend with the majority of running shoe brands out there. They're sort of this elf design where the back of the Achilles line comes up a little bit higher. They haven't changed the height of the internal heel counter. You just have this little material which runs up a little bit higher at the back of your Achilles. What I found with this shoe is I got less lift from the back of my heel. So I didn't have to worry about doing a heel lock lace, which is probably a good thing because I'll touch on the lacing system in 2 ticks. But when I did my shoelaces up, I got a really secure feel at the back of that heel, which is fantastic. So I already automatically have a lot more confidence my foot is going to sit on this platform purely and simply by having a really structured feel up top. Now, coming through to the whole upper, look, it's a booty construction. So the best way to explain that is it's a one-piece construction on top. So there's no tongue. through here, what we have with the Wave Rider 24, we have a tongue, and then we've got gusseted system, which essentially holds a tongue in position on top of the upper as well. However, with the Neo, you put your foot in and it is a really effortless feel. You have to tinker with the laces a little bit, which is what I found to get a dialed in fit, but that's okay. I felt nice and secure once I got my laces right. But you can see, in assistance to getting that fit and feel right, they've really sort of, I'd say, really had a think about the lacing system. So I'll bring it close to the camera through here. You can see you've got high eyelets and low eyelets. So what that does on top of your arch is you get a more secure fit when you pull your laces in on top of that foot through here. So I liked how that felt. The main reason being is you want to get this lockdown pretty darn true on top of this shoe, because the shoe's a bit softer and you might be running a wee bit faster in a shoe like this because it is designed for that slightly quicker runner. You want to have a really secure feel on top of the platform so you can get the maximized performance with what's going on underneath your foot. The other noticeable thing through the forefoot is there is a mild, sort of almost like an invisible toe cap through here. So there's no stitching or seams that are going to irritate your foot, but there is an element of protection around the front half of the toe guard as well. One thing to talk about is the widths in this shoe while we're talking uppers. Now it is just standard width at this point in time. So that's a D in the men's and we have a B in the ladies through there. So generally speaking, most brands, when they're executing a new shoe, they'll play it safe first and just bring it out in the standard widths, both men's and women's. But again, like I say, who knows, future plans for Mizuno, if this is a popular one for them, they may branch out and offer extra widths through there, but don't hold your breath. Okay guys, there you have it, the Wave Rider Neo. Now in wrapping things up with this shoe, it is a lighter shoe than the Wave Rider 24. So we've got roughly 10 grams in the men's and we have in around 5 to 7 grams in the ladies through there, just with our scales here at Sportitude. So it's sort of really dialing in on the performance of this shoe, being lighter and softer underneath the foot. It's a really pleasurable ride. I do like it when brands do make a slightly lighter version of a shoe. We sort of all screaming out for less effort with our road running shoes. And when they execute a midsole that's slightly softer too, you just get a little bit more confidence when I put this shoe on my foot. I like how this shoe feels underneath the foot. The Wave Energy Foam is just pure, nice and plush, and plenty of response through that forefoot there as well. So guys, if you have any questions on the Wave Rider Neo, please drop it in the comments field below. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, hit the red button and hit the notifications bell as well so you can keep up to date with everything that's going on in the running shoe space here in Australia. And until next time guys, stay safe, happy running, and we will see you out on the road. Take care.